Yo, what's going on? Welcome to Ortiz on the air. We are back, better than ever. 2024 is here. So, happy new year to you and your family. I wish you many blessings, for you and your family, and just so many great things to come out of 2024. Man, I am super excited to see what God does within 2024, especially within this podcast and also, my other podcasts as well that we have. This sports podcast, it's something that I thought about, for a year now, like I said in the first episode, and it's cool to talk about things that I enjoy and that I'm passionate about, and it's sports. I played sports, growing up, and I enjoyed it a lot. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna talk some football. We're gonna talk about the road to the playoffs, Week 17, and how things panned out for some teams, some losses that should have never been losses, but they were at the end of the day. And this is where we go to, things are sometimes not fair, and we're gonna talk about the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys. Dun 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 dun. So if you watch that game, you already know what happened, right? The Lions lost. The Lions lost because the ref didn't know how to do his job. And I guess that's been happening a lot lately in the league the past couple of years. And, now people are starting to really see it. And hopefully the NFL sees it as well. And I know that those referees are not going to be in the playoffs, refereeing any games for the rest of the season, so which is good. It was a bummer, but the Lions could have won that game. I mean, Jared Goff had 2 interceptions, and didn't really play well. Didn't really play to his standard. Didn't really play to the expectation that he was putting on from week 1 to week 5 to week 6, and then things started to get a little flippy floppy right within week 7, obviously to week 17. But the Lions are still 11-5, right? They're the third seed. They actually do have the chance to move up to the second seed, but that's only if the the Cowboys lose, and the Lions win this weekend in Week 18, which is the last week of the regular season, baby. So super excited to see what's gonna go on there. But yeah, so the Lions do have a chance, to have the second seed. But that's if the Cowboys lose and the Lions win. If the Lions lose and the Cowboys win, then obviously they stay number 3 there in the seed. And so it was just really just a horrible penalty call. I felt like in the video, Decker went up to the ref and said, "Hey, I'm an eligible player," and I guess the ref didn't want to hear it, right? And sometimes it goes that way, especially in the NFL and any really pro sport. Sometimes that happens, but you have 59 minutes. 1 minute should not determine the game. You have 59 minutes to make plays, to go down the field and score touchdowns, kick field goals. And I guess Dan Campbell is allergic to field goals and he doesn't like to take them. So, that's what really cost you the game. And to me, in my opinion, every point counts. It's just like if you're in sales, every sales count. Doesn't matter if it's $50, no matter if it's $100 that you earn. It all counts at the end of the day and at the end of the month. And that just goes for anything, right? And so, the Lions secondary got whooped by CeeDee Lamb, 270 yards. CeeDee Lamb he broke some records that night as well. Which is pretty cool to see him do that. I watched him when he was at Oklahoma. So that was pretty cool. So just to see him shine and just to see him do his thing. I love when players get to showcase their skills, even when people doubt them. So it was pretty cool. It was a pretty good game. It was a defensive game as well. So overall, I enjoyed it. Obviously I was, kind of upset just because the Lions could have beat the Cowboys, and I'm not really a Cowboys fan. So there you have it. But there's one player that stuck out to me, which is J-Mo. I mean, in my first episode, I said, hey, J-Mo can take you off the top. And what did J-Mo do? Go for 65 yards off the top. Jared Goff probably had his best pass of the game, and J-Mo shined with his pass. But he did get hurt. I believe it was like an ankle injury, so hopefully he can be back in Week 18 versus the Vikings, and he can continue to show his skills in the playoffs as well. It's really good to see him shine. Had a rough start to the year, just with obviously some nonsense and just mistakes. I mean, no one's perfect in this world, and sometimes we fall short, but again, we all deserve second chances, and we all could do better on that part. So it's good to see him, his growth and his passion for the game, and just to see him shine and smile and things like that, so which is cool. And so overall, man, it was a great game, and shout out to the Lions, 11-5. You can't beat it. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do against the Vikings. The Vikings come here in Week 18, so it's going to be exciting. And the Lions might versus the Rams. Matt Stafford coming back to Detroit. What? We're going to talk more about that later. It's going to be very exciting to see that. But we're gonna go ahead and touch on the Bengals and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, like I said in episode 1, Road to the Playoffs, is that I am a Cincy fan. A big fan. I've been a fan since Joe Burrow went to LSU. I watched him those 2 years, and then obviously followed him, to Cincinnati, and then they got Chase, and then they got a couple other guys, and they've been unstoppable for the past 2 years or 3 years, and we went to the Super Bowl 1 year, and then made it back, to the AFC twice, and then obviously, we are not in the playoffs anymore. Just had an upsetting loss, but I didn't really have any expectations. Obviously, when Joe Burrow got hurt and he was out for the season, I didn't have any expectations whatsoever. When Jake Browning came in, I'm like, I don't know about this guy. And then he just played lights out. I mean, through the Jaguars game, through the Colts, through the Vikings, even, the Steelers. I mean, yeah, you make mistakes. Yeah, you throw interceptions. But if you don't learn, how are you not going to get better? And so I think this was a learning curve for him. I mean, shout out to Jake Browning for taking us where we didn't even think we were going to go and even be a contender, or even people even still talking about us in the media. We really showed people who the Cincinnati Bengals are and what we can do even without Joe Burrow. I can't wait to see Joe Burrow back this year, the 2024 season. I'm excited to see that. Excited to see him back and healthy. Hopefully we can get some offensive line in the draft and also in free agency. Hopefully, Zach Taylor finds someone else to call plays, because he's a great coach. I mean, he really earned my respect this year for the things he did without Joe Burrow. And so for that, he's a great coach. He's a player's coach. I'm excited to see what he does this offseason. But, I mean, at the end of the day, this Chiefs game, man, we really lost it ourselves. I mean, we came out the gate really just shooting bullets, and it was 17-7, and then obviously they scored a touchdown, and then they scored 2 field goals on us before the second half, and in the second half they shut us out. They kicked 5 field goals, and again, Dan Campbell, if you're watching this, just watch that game and watch how Andy Reid really plays his part, lets his team know, listen, we're going to get every point on that board. This is a team sport. This is a team game. And obviously Pat Mahomes didn't look too happy about it. But, hey, it's not all about you. It's about the team win. You got to make the playoffs. You got to do whatever you can do. And we didn't do that. The Bengals didn't do that. Zach Taylor didn't do that on 4th and 1 there before the second half. didn't kick the field goal to be up 20-13, and that probably could have played a different part in the game. But you can't go back and change things. It is what it is. But hey, Joe Burrow is still 3-1 against Kansas City and Pat Mahomes, and we'll take it. Just poor execution in the second half, and that's what it was. Andy Reid played smart. He does what he does, and Kansas City does what they do. So it's just it's always a great matchup between the two, and it's a great rivalry. So it was just really fun to watch, and it's been an exciting season from the start. Obviously, it's been an up and down season as well, but we fought, and we did what we can do, and that's what it is. So I'm glad that if you did watch it, please comment below on your thoughts of the Dallas and the Lions game, and also the Bengals and the Chiefs game. Let me know what your thoughts are as well. Because again, these are my thoughts, these are my opinions. I felt like play calls could have been better with the Bengals. I felt like Chase Brown should have touched the ball a little bit more. He wasn't really in, and I feel like we should give our playmakers the ball more and design plays around them, because when we need something to happen, we need to give it to our playmakers, and that's just what it is. So that's my thoughts on that game, and I'm just excited, to see what the Bengals do their last game against Cleveland in Week 18, and it's in Cincy, so that's going to be an exciting game, hard-fought game as well, just very happy to just see what happens, and very, very excited for that. Lastly, Michigan and Alabama. I mean, if you watch that game was just historic. I mean, the Rose Bowl, you got Bama and Michigan. I mean, you can't get better than that. Nick Saban, Jim Harbaugh, two great coaches with two great programs. It's really good to see, just for football, just how competitive that game was. It was a defensive game. I don't care what anybody says. It was a hard-fought nose defensive game, and it was exciting going back and forth. So many mistakes on both sides of the ball, I feel like, as well, on the defensive side and the offensive side for both teams. But obviously Michigan came victorious. So, I felt like in the end there, when you're going like 4th and 5, in overtime, obviously, they gave it to, to Jalen. I felt like they should have gave it to a wide receiver or the running back, McCollum. And I felt like that should have been the play call. Give it to your running back. He's a beast. He's strong. He's fast. Let him run the ball. And I felt like when they gave it to Jalen and Jalen just ran straight through, it's like, well, Michigan was kind of preparing for that because he did it like 12 times in the whole game, and obviously they couldn't stop him. So at this point, they had to stop Jalen so that he didn't get a touchdown and to make it a tie game in overtime. And then you have to go all the way back and do it all over again. But it was a really great game. I feel like, Blake Corum came out, did his thing. He made the plays he needed to when he needed to, and I felt like that's so important, especially these games, these critical games. And I felt like Jim Harbaugh came ready, man, with that playbook. And I'm just so happy, obviously, for Michigan. I'm a Michigan State fan, but I'm happy for Michigan. Obviously, this is their first time in a long time, obviously, to make the Natty. And it's just cool to see. Obviously, Washington beat Texas. And like I said, Michael Penix is a beast. He's just an outstanding quarterback. His arm is phenomenal. He can launch the ball with his receivers being great too as well. I mean, the guy is electric. I mean, his story, going to Indiana, getting hurt 4 times, and then being able to play, transfer to Washington, and then have 2 successful years with Washington and to show his skills and show them like what he can do as a quarterback. I mean, that's like crazy how good he is, and it's just exciting just for college football overall. So it's good to see that matchup. I know it's next Monday. It's going to be Washington versus Michigan, 1 and 2, the 1 and 2 punch. So it's going to be a really great game. Can't wait to watch that. and to also talk to you guys about that game and just to share my thoughts and my opinion. So I'm very excited, very thrilled for this Week 18 and also the national championship in college, and then also to see, what the NFL playoffs are going to be like, and just to share my thoughts on that as well. I hope you like this episode. It's the road to the playoffs and how the Week 17 ended and what's to come in Week 18. So be on the lookout for more episodes. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel. You'll get notifications because, listen, videos are going to be coming. More details, more content of all these games and all these players on my thoughts and my opinions, how I feel, and how things can be, more better, or, how things, are getting, a lot worse in the game, and just to share how I feel about certain play calls, different players, and how games pan out the way they do. So I'm glad to be able, to share this first video in 2024 of the road to the playoffs, Week 17. Let's go.